My name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine. And I have started vlogging at the very beginning of brutal Russian invasion to my beautiful and independent country, Ukraine. And I feel my responsibility to update you on the important real-life changes in our daily Ukrainian life. But at the same time, I feel that Ukraine is not just war, and there are many important things that you can discover together with me about Ukraine. Today, I am very happy to introduce you to one of the most important and popular personalities in modern Ukraine, and that is General Valeriy Zaluzhnyi. Before the start of this war, the majority of Ukrainian citizens knew nothing about our top military people and the system of defense. But now we are really well aware. So let me explain you the system of Ukrainian armed forces and in particular top positions that are responsible for the defense of Ukraine, and I must say successful defense of Ukraine. So, first of all, according to the Constitution of Ukraine, the supreme commander of Ukrainian armed forces is, of course, our President, Volodymyr Zelensky. But we all understand that it is a political position. And the real defense of the country is totally controlled by the commander of the Ukrainian armed forces, and that is General Valeriy Zaluzhnyi. Our Minister of Defense, Oleksiy Reznikov, is another person responsible for the well-being of Ukrainian army, but more concentrated on logistics and supply. According to NATO standards, and we try to reform our country as soon as possible and as fast as possible, the position of the Minister of Defense is civil, but not military anymore. So, when we think about the strengths and success of Ukrainian armed forces, we always associate them with the figure of Valeriy Zaluzhnyi. He was appointed commander of Ukrainian armed forces on the 27th of July 2021, approximately half a year before the start of brutal Russian invasion to Ukraine. General Zaluzhnyi was one of the top Ukrainian military who was always sure Russia will attack. And since the beginning of his career on the position of commander of Ukrainian armed forces, he was preparing. And now I would like to introduce you briefly to his biography, because it's always interesting to know more about the personalities that change modern history. So he was born on the 8th of July 1973. And yes, if we count, General is going to celebrate his 50th anniversary, 50th birthday this year. And I think victory of Ukraine could be a good present, and I support this idea totally. So he was born in town Zvyagil, which was previously known as Novograd-Volynski in Zhytomyr region, in the family of military people. Actually, Zvyagil itself is a military town that's surrounded by various military institutions and training grounds. So his dream since childhood was to be in the army. And he realized his dream very successfully, and now many of Ukrainians are super grateful for his career choice. And now, please your attention, because I consider this fact of paramount importance in the description of General Zaluzhnyi. He started his education in times of independent Ukraine. So he was not poisoned by Soviet propaganda during his military education. And in Ukrainian army, he is known as the general of a new generation. This is extremely important. And he is a great supporter of NATO standards and positive reforms. And from what I know, he is extremely open to direct horizontal communication, something that was impossible in Soviet army. So first he studied in Odessa Institute, now known as Academy of Ground Forces. His education was successful, and then he continued serving on different positions, starting from platoon commander and finishing with battalion commander. People who communicate with General Zaluzhnyi say that he is extremely educated. And I think this is super good if we want to change our army effectively and to develop it according to the international standards. His second higher education he received during 2005-2007 in the Ukrainian National Academy of Defense. And after that, his career became developing really quickly, and he became deputy commander of the 24th Separate Mechanized Brigade. I managed to pronounce it. In 2009-2012, he was the head of the 51st Separate Mechanized Brigade, located in Volodymyr, which is a city in my native region, Volyn. And many people who contacted with him there describe him as an extremely easygoing, open personality, and they still can phone him. But of course they don't, because once again, General is very busy cleaning Ukraine from orcs. In 2014, he continued his education and even received an honorary transitional sword from the Queen of Great Britain. This is a very beautiful procedure held by the Embassy of the Great Britain in Ukraine. And of course, 2014 is a very sad year in the history of Ukraine, because this is actually the start of Russian invasion on the territory of Ukraine, and this is also the period when General returns actively to the front lines. War, for him as for the majority of Ukrainians, lasted since 2014. So during these 8 years before the full-scale invasion, General Zaluzhnyi was performing various top tasks in the east of Ukraine, protecting us from Russian invasion. And on the 27th of July 2021, President Zelensky appointed him the commander of the Ukrainian armed forces. He was just 48. This is pretty young as for the head of the army. And now we see one of the strongest armies in the world. I know, we are all serious people. I'm serious, you are serious. But we don't need to lie. All of us are always interested in the private life of people who are important. So let me introduce you a little bit to the family of General Zaluzhnyi. He is married and he has 2 daughters. One of his daughters has chosen a military career, and the second one is getting her medical education and going to be a doctor. Sometimes they appear on their father's photos, but once again, he is very busy right now. General Zaluzhnyi loves sport and tourism, and his favorite hobby is traveling with family. Also, he is a great supporter of NATO and reforms in the Ukrainian armed forces, and we all support him for this support. And also he likes spending time on Instagram, looking at the photos of cats. He said that himself, and this helps him relax. The Times named General Zaluzhnyi as one of 100 influential people on planet. He has some interviews with top newspapers and magazines in the world, but he doesn't tell much. I was surprised to hear in one of his recent interviews that he carefully observes the situation in Russia and prefers reading just one man. Do you know who that Russian man is? General Gerasimov, the head of the general staff in Russia, and he considers him to be the cleverest and the most dangerous man during this military campaign. Ukrainians love General Zaluzhnyi, and I tell you that honestly. To tell you the truth, war is a period when all of your feelings and emotions are very distinct and vivid. And I think that General Zaluzhnyi also loves Ukraine and protects it with all his strengths, and his heart thoughts are all about our future victory. To sum it all up, I can tell you that he is a good general because he cares about the army, he is open in communication, he wants to introduce lots of new and useful procedures and tools, even during war, to Ukrainian army, and he is a general of a new generation who received his education and developed his career in independent Ukraine, and that is super important. My name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine, and I want to help you discover my country from a different angle. Because this war made Ukraine visible, but we are not limited to war. If you want to know more, subscribe to our channel. And thank you for becoming a patron or buying me coffee, because this actually supports projects like that. Slava Ukraini!